When I kind of was learning about child development and psychology, I can tell you this both from reading it in a book and from all the people I talk to. There's something powerful about a father's voice. And if a message is repeated enough, a father's external voice soon becomes the child's internal voice. You follow me? Whether that's good or bad, whatever the father says to the child, that eventually becomes the child's thoughts. So if you have a father that's reassuring, like, hey, everything's gonna be okay, I'm here for you, they eventually start telling themselves, like, hey, I'm gonna be okay, I'm gonna be all right. And unfortunately, that works the other way too. There are some fathers that fall short, and you spill your milk or you make a mistake, like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you do anything right? And if you hear that enough, that's the tape that starts playing. I'm a failure. I can't do anything right. I'm gonna fall short. I'm gonna fail. I was blessed. And sometimes people have told me about like different scenarios where I've been able to be calm in kind of chaotic situations. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that's not like something great that's about me. That's a tribute to my own father. I'll tell you, one of the things that I remember hearing is, bikes can be replaced, but we can't replace you. And I found myself in different situations where either car accidents or things where I was like, oh man, I messed it up. What have I done? I remember hearing that voice like, hey, we can replace that. Can't replace you. And that gave me some reassurance that I learned not to panic when things were like not good. I remember one situation where he was remarkably calm. It was during a soccer game. And I played soccer. I wasn't great at soccer, but I played soccer. And the ball was in the air. And I was gonna all right, I got this. I'm gonna get a good headbutt. It's gonna go forward like 20 yards. I was gonna really get it good. Problem is, there was another kid on the other team that was trying to headbutt it this way. And so neither of us hit the ball with our heads. If you look above my right eye, you'll see a little scar. It's still there. I remember, have you ever had your bell rung? I went down to the ground. I was like, man, that hurt a little bit. I'm just gonna stay here for a minute. Finally, after a second, I got up like this, and I looked down, and there's this stream of blood coming right out of here. I'm sorry if you guys are squeamish. I'm sorry, but here's the point of that. My dad is horrified of blood and so forth. If I were to tell the story around the table, he'd be like, stop, I don't want to talk about it anymore. But he got me to the ER. Probably broke a few traffic laws on the way. 16 stitches later. When I look back on the story though, here's what I remember. As much as he hated the sight, the thought, the discussion of blood, he kept his composure that whole time. And I was blessed by that, because any of you have ever been in a medical emergency, what's the number one best thing you could do in that situation? Exactly. You see, when the voice of the Father is calm and reassuring, it helps us to quiet that voice of worry. And if you've had that, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't have that, if your father's voice, and especially if your own internal thoughts turn to anxiety and self-deprecation, here's the good news. You have an opportunity to learn to hear the voice of your Heavenly Father. And the more you hear the voice of your Heavenly Father, you hear His voice, at some point that becomes your internal voice. And the more you hear His voice, the less power the voice of anxiety is going to have in your life. Here's what I want us to do. If you raised your hand a few minutes ago, kind of thought of this late in the game, so we tried to this morning prepare it as much as we can, but we've distributed pens around the different rows. Some of you, if you're sitting with a lot of people, you might have to share the pen. But if there's anybody here that you've been worried about something in particular, what I want you to do, take a pen, and you can use the offering envelopes, or if you have your own paper, you can. I want you to write down that thing it is that you're worried about. you to write it down on a piece of paper. And when we close this service, what we have us do is we're going to bring those papers up and we're going to put them right here. We're going to say, I am committing myself to hearing the voice of my Father over and above this particular voice and this particular thought. If you don't have paper, or if you don't want to write on an envelope, I got extra paper here. When we come to the altar, you can grab one of these and write it then. But that's what I want to do today, is I want us to really hone in on the voice of the Father. Because what's Jesus saying about the voice of the Father? Did you hear what he says? Your Father knows what you need. Your Father cares about you. Your Father is trustworthy. And if you came from a family where things were not good, your Heavenly Father is not like your earthly father. He's good. You can trust him. He's good. Hear the voice of our Heavenly Father, much more than the voice of anxiety. But Jesus, what about, I got this bill coming up. How am I going to pay it? Your Father knows that you need these things. He sees you. But Jesus, I got this big decision. If I don't make it by tonight, I don't know what's going to happen to me. Is there anything that we can walk through that surprises our Heavenly Father? Whatever crisis you might be facing, before God said the words, let there be light, he already knew that this day was going to come and that situation was going to be true in your life. And would you be willing to believe that he already made a way for that thing to be resolved, for you to grow closer to him? Do you believe that? I mean, it's easy to say, oh yeah, I believe that. I can tell you from my experience, it's a lot harder to be like, okay, I'm going to go with that. Right? So easy to worry in these situations. But the voice of the Heavenly Father can not only give you the reassurance to let you know that things are going to be okay, but more you hear his voice, and that's my challenge to you, make sure you're regularly hearing the voice of your Heavenly Father. Because as children, the voice that we hear more, that becomes our internal dialogue. So if you've been listening to the voice of anxiety, can you let today be the day where you make a decision, I'm going to listen to my Father's voice more than I let those other voices play out in my head. I'm going to choose to fill my mind every day with his voice so that his voice becomes my thoughts and his voice becomes what I feel in my heart, and his voice guides me in the times where I don't know how things are going to work out.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Mental Health Monday with Pastor Dan Harrison. Remember, the voice you listen to the most becomes the voice inside of you. If anxiety or fear has been too loud in your life, lean in to hear the reassuring voice of your Heavenly Father. He sees you, he cares for you, and he knows what you need. If you're struggling, please don't walk through it alone. Reach out for help. Find a local church where you can connect and be encouraged. And if you're near Ravenna, Ohio, we'd love to welcome you at Ravenna Assembly of God. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow for more encouragement from Pastor Dan. And join us next Monday for the next episode of Mental Health Monday.